Allowing the knees to fall out to the side, relaxing, and then sitting up nice and tall, a little roll of the shoulders, and hopefully you can feel that you're sitting up a little upright. Letting the hands rest at the knees, fingertips falling towards the floor. Lifting in the belly so that you're sitting up nice and tall, and letting the back of the neck open as the eyes move towards the mat. Starting to breathe nice and long and slow, our Ujjayi breath in and out through the nose if you can. Trying to park any of the outside noises, trying to lower any of the inside voices. Then on a nice long inhale, we're slowly going to lift the eye gaze, take a look all the way up and allow the hair to touch at the t-shirt, keeping the breath coming in and out through the nose, letting the shoulders drop back, trying to stay sitting up nice and tall. On your next exhale, we're coming back to the center, a little relax of the shoulders again. Looking over your right shoulder, coming all the way across. Trying to keep the left shoulder back nice and long so the collarbone and heart are staying open. On your next exhale, come back to the center and then all the way across to the other side. Coming back to center, little roll of the shoulders, and inhale both arms to lift up, floating into our cactus arms. Pulling the elbows out a little wider, palms are facing each other, and there's some energy with the fingers. Take a big breath in, right arm lifts up, left arm drops low. Eye gaze floating past your fingers, keeping the knees low, really lengthening up, finding that length from hip, underarm to fingertips. Take a big breath in, and on your exhale, we're changing, floating right arm low, left arm lifting up. On your next exhale, come back to center. Roll the shoulders back, left hand's coming across to grab hold of right knee. Right fingers are moving back all the way to the left side of your mat if you can, behind the body. Feeling the shoulders rolling back to keep the heart open, leading with your eye gaze to look all the way to the back wall. Take a breath, coming back to center, releasing that bind all the way around to the other side, keeping the spine up nice and tall. Left hand coming as far back across the body as you can. Taking a look forward, coming back to center, changing the cross of your legs. Letting the knees again fall back down to the floor, drawing the belly in, sitting up nice and tall. On an inhale, float those arms back to cactus, making some space between your fingers. Try not to send the heart and belly too far forward, and elbows are pulling back behind the body. Take a big breath in, and on your exhale, drop the hands interlaced behind the back of the head. We're turning towards the right, leading with elbows, holding, trying to come as far as you can around without your knees lifting. Coming back to center, and then all the way around to the other side. Challenge the range a little, knees staying low, elbows pulling back, torso up nice and tall. Coming back to center, release your hands, slide them out in front, sending the hips backwards, reaching out in front, relaxing into shoulders, letting the forehead drop towards the floor. Walking your hands all the way in, sitting up nice and tall. We're releasing the legs and coming up onto your shins. Knees right in underneath your hips so you've got a nice straight line. Shoulders pulling back and hips moving a little forward. You want to press your toenails to the mat so that you can feel that there's a balance with what's connected to the floor. Roll the shoulders back, leaning off to one side, reaching all the way up. So not necessarily about touching the floor. Think about keeping the hips moving forward and heart open. Eye gaze to follow the fingers. Then breathe, come back to center, keep the hips moving forward, toenails to the floor. Pressing out to the other side, keeping that heart open. Breathe, come back to center. Tuck your toes under, so toes are pulling in underneath to press to the floor. We're going to sit back onto your heels. Taking the heels out towards the edge of the mat so the pinky is catching us, little stretch here too. Interlacing your fingers, palms pressing forward. Shoulders relaxed, the little tips of your thumbs together and lifting up nice and tall with the torso. Then on your inhale, lift the arms, lift your eye gaze. Allow your throat to open, pull the palms all the way to the roof. Then take a look forward, bring your hands back to your heart center. Release down onto all fours. So knees underneath hips, palms underneath underarms, and all fingers pressing to the floor. So even your the length of all of the knuckles, all fingers, and your thumb. I'm going to roll the elbows forward. So pressing out so the face of your elbow rolls towards the front of your mat. Press your shoulders back away and tuck your chin tightly to your throat. Keep pressing all of the knuckles to the floor. Keeping that belly in the neutral spine, trying to keep the face of the elbows facing forward. Take an inhale, going to look forward, keeping the spine in the neutral position for a moment, lifting your chin to look forward. Then on your next breath out, drop your belly to the floor, drop your chest towards the floor. That'll allow you to lift your chin a little more. Then tucking the chin tightly to your throat, keeping the belly low. On your next exhale, lift back up, roll the belly all the way to the roof. Shoulder blades pulling apart, tucking your chin nice and tightly to your throat. Release the belly back to neutral, tuck your toes, lift your hips. We've got just a couple breaths in down dog. Heels pressing towards the floor, palms pressing evenly to the mat. Then gently coming back down to your knees. Top of your feet to the floor, left palm moving in towards the middle of the mat and right arm to lift up, reach up, open up. So just noticing if your hips are moving, trying to take the eye gaze past your fingers. Take a big breath in and on your exhale, we're going to send the hips backwards and float that right arm all the way through. Left elbow lifts up towards the roof. Long arm all the way to the floor if you can, and maybe your head comes to touch, maybe not. Take a breath, press away from the floor, come back to tabletop. Right palm comes in the middle of the body. Lifting up with the belly, press away from the mat, left arm to float and lift. Eye goes up past your fingers, trying to press that straight palm to the floor. On an exhale, float the hips backwards, slide the arm all the way underneath, lean back. Breathing in, lifting up with the hips, hands coming back to the mat. Belly staying in that lifted position, and then right leg stepping back so that you can bring your foot to the floor. That'll open up your hip just a little bit, and then we're going to lean back just a little to open your hips. You're going to send the hips out towards the edge of the mat. Top arm can lift up and then float all the way forward. Really ground down through that straight leg. Press away from the mat with that arm. Send the hips forward. Then smooth move. Bring just your hand back to the mat so that hip stays in that position. Then lean forward, float the foot from the mat, so then bring your knee back to the floor. So knees are closer together to transition to the other side. Extend the leg all the way back. Open up, send the hips towards the edge of the room. Float your top arm to reach forward, eye gaze can follow. Really strong back leg. Bring your hand back to the mat. Hold here in this position. Feel that hip moving out towards the edge, a little roll of the shoulders. Then knees come back together. Tucking into down dog, knees together, toes together, heels together, thighs together. Try and move your body weight back onto the legs. Just a couple of breaths here. Soften your knees, come back to child's pose. So knees nice and wide, top of your feet to the floor. Resting your hips all the way back, reaching the arms all the way out in front. Starting with your brow to the floor. Keep walking the arms out towards the top of the mat. Keeping your hips connected at your heels as closely as you can. Then on an inhale, you're looking forward to lift your chin. Try and look as far forward as you can out in front. So your hair might be touching at the back of the t-shirt and throat at the front is completely open. Grip the mat as tightly as you can to reach forward. Then slide your hands in, lift up with your hips, bring your knees in underneath your hips. And then softly bring your right foot forward to the outside of your hands, whichever graceful way you can. Press that foot to the floor, big toe, and then lift up with your chest. So that foot's pressing to the mat and you want to keep balance by keeping the big toe to the floor. Chest is up nice and tall. We're going to come across the body, press against a really strong leg, and then reach all the way back, look back. So you turn towards your thigh. Come back to center. One hand at your knee, dropping to your hips, pressing forward and then letting that knee come out to the side. Feeling that the little length of the torso, so chest is up nice and tall, a good press away from the mat. Then breathe in, lift up with your hips, hands come back to the floor, slide that foot toward back knee to the floor, changing legs, softly bringing the other leg forward. Press that big toe to the mat, feel the torso lock on as you pull the body all the way up. Big toe stay pressing, turn towards your thigh and reach all the way back. Eye gaze following the fingers back, your shoulders are dropped and relaxed. Strong leg out in front to help with balance. Come back to center. Control the way you lower to the floor, one hand at your knee. Let that foot drop out to the side, knee moves out to the side and hips are dropping towards the floor. Pressing the toes to the mat, hands come to the inside. We're going to change our transition here, tucking the toes onto the back leg and then lifting up into straight-ish legs. So depending how far you can make it, you're dropping that back heel low to the mat, pressing your hips backwards and then pressing into a straight front leg if you can. Letting the head fall between your hands. Little bend in your leg to bring that knee back down to the floor. Slide that foot, knees come back to the mat. We're changing legs, bringing right foot forward, softly to the mat. Tuck the toes under on your back leg and then send the hips backwards. Straightening the legs as much as you can or just noticing if you need to keep that front leg bent, back leg bent. Let your head fall between the hands. You want to make sure the neck is nice and long. Then bending the knees a little, heel toe in, so use your hands a little, hands come to your thigh, press up, push up, coming into our lunge position, front knees forward. If you need to shuffle that back leg back a little bit, you can. Heels lifted off the back foot, shoulders pulling back, belly drawing in, dropping into cactus arms, so elbows come nice and wide. Then press out into straight legs, hands come to your thighs, step forward, feet come hip distance apart and fold into a nice deep forward fold. Letting the head fall between your feet, bending the knees as much as you need to, letting your torso come a little closer to your thigh. Keep your big toe pressing to the mat. Soften the knees a little. Hands move to your thighs, right leg stepping back. Control how it lands. Lunge into your position, really strong in your back leg, floating the arms all the way up and then pulling down to your cactus arms. Breathe in, you're going to step forward, feet hip distance apart, drop back down to your forward fold. Pressing the shoulders back away from the ears. Letting your head fall between your feet, bending your knees as much as you need to. This time we're going to hold on to your elbows. In that forward position, a little sway of your elbow forward and back. Staying low and forward, you might need a halfway lift or hands move to your shins. Right arm to lift up and then float to the arch of your back. I can slide my fingers into the hip crease. And you're trying to look up over the shoulder, keeping that forward position. Taking a look down at toes, release the hands from the back. Inhale to open up left side. Wrap if you like. Releasing the hand from the arch of the back, a little heel toe out into our yogi squat. If you need to lift your heels, use your hands for balance. Let the shoulders pull back, hands move to prayer if you're not using them for balance. Keeping that chest up nice and tall. Catching a few breaths here, letting the chin fall to your chest. Releasing your hands, lifting your hips, stepping back just a little, and then bending your knees, letting your elbows come to rest on the top of the knee. Send the hips backwards, a little breath as the big toes press to the mat. Relax the shoulders, send them back, and then one elbow comes across to one knee. Try not to let the knees move. You want to hold here nice and strong. Keep breathing, pressing the toes to the floor. Come back to center, all the way to the other side. Come back to center. Lift your hips to straight legs. Pull the shoulders back, stand nice and tall. Bend your knees a little if you need to. A little shuffle out of your legs. Step 1 foot forward, 1 foot back to open up into the hips. Extending the arms out nice and long, dropping the hip forward. Letting your elbow rest on that thigh or just above the knee, and then opening that arm all the way forward, bicep by your ear. Feel your hips moving forward. You can drop as deep as you like. Then press out into a straight leg, turn that foot forward and then drop into a nice wide forward fold, again holding onto your elbows. Let your head fall between your hands. Soften the knees a little, use your hands at your thighs to press up, changing feet, so turn that back foot out to open up, lunging in nice and long, lengthening out bicep by your ear. Dropping the hips as, you got enough room? Good, press out, push out, straight legs, swivel the toes forward, folding nice and deep, hands sliding down towards the ankles if you can. Let the elbows lift, top of your head falling to the floor, leaning into your toes. Slide your hands just above your knees, press them to press out, turn your toes out, sliding into triangle, reaching down towards the ankle, and then one arm to float up. So hips are moving forward, swiveling out to one side, toes are pressing out, and then top of your head are following the direction of the toes. Hands come to your hips, pull the body all the way up, a little swivel out to the other side, dropping the hand down towards the ankle, opening the arm all the way up, take a look up. Breathe in, press up, push out, toes come forward. Keeping your hands at your hips and your elbows pulling back, folding in forward, leaning into your toes, top of your head dropping to the floor, lifting up with the hips. Leaning forward to pull the body all the way up, shoulders pulling back. Swivel out through the foot, lengthen out with the knee, sending the arms out nice and long, eye gaze looking past your fingers. Dropping in a little deeper with the lunge if you like. Feeling the shoulder blades pulling together at the back of the body. Pressing out into a straight leg, a little swivel of your feet. Knee tracks over the pinky toe side of the foot, heart stays open, arms are super long and strong. Press out, push out, straight legs, a little swivel of your feet. Hands move back behind the body and you're grabbing hold of your elbows. So your shoulders can pull back, then fold into a nice deep forward fold, letting your head fall towards the floor, but keeping the shoulders and elbows back. Release your hands. Little heel toe in of the legs. Hands come to your heart, then inhale to stand tall. Making your way back to the top of your mat. Hands long down by your side. Inhale to lift up, arms reaching up. Sliding the hands back to the floor. Inhale up halfway. Then bending your knees, making your way back to child's pose. This time, knees together, heels together, arms out in front and then holding on to elbows. And releasing your hands, lifting up back to tabletop, and then take both knees off to the left side of your mat so your right hip can come to the floor. So nice and tight, I've kept the knees close together, not necessarily stacked on top of each other. And then lowering the torso down to the floor over the thigh, reaching the hands, maybe holding onto elbows, and then you're looking to the right elbow if you can. Then eye gaze coming to the mat, use your hands to press away, slide them close to your underarm, lift up, and then you're going to rotate all the way back so that you can swivel your knees to the other side. Thighs stacked on top of each other, knees close but not necessarily on top of each other. Hands go wide so you can roll the body to the floor. Releasing the arms into that up position and eye gaze to your left elbow. And breathe, take a look forward, let the hands release from the back body. Press out, push out, and then we're going to extend the top leg back and bottom leg out to the side and come into the same pose. So lowering all the way down. Elbows come out to the floor. Hips really opening up as that back top leg is reaching for the back of your mat. Try and touch that foot to the floor. And then you're working to lift your hips, so moving from that roll forward to roll up. Then releasing the hip, hands come in underneath the body to press out. Tuck in nice and tight, and then you can come to the other side by continuing to roll forward. Now your right leg's long, out towards the edge of the room. Left leg, top leg is reaching back towards the back of the mat, and then lowering in and over. Good. Find that position of your hip. You're moving from hip rolling towards the floor to lifting up towards the roof. releasing the hip, use your hands to press up, tuck your knees in tight again, and then we're coming into butterfly. So make your way up whichever graceful way you can. Feet together, knees wide, hands holding onto the feet and then sitting up nice and tall. And on an inhale, we're going to lift up and reach back, right arm, take a look all the way back. Palm to face up, fingertips reaching, nice straight line from your shoulder. Take a look forward, come back to center, hand comes up and over, grab hold of the toes. Inhale to lengthen back, reach back, look back. Inhale to come back to center, float that arm all the way up and over, elbows come in front of your shins and eye gaze down in front of your toes. Try and lower in deep, but keeping the chest nice and open, so not letting the shoulders fall forward. Send them back, a little lift of the belly. Breathing in, pulling the shoulders all the way back up. Leave your left leg where it is and right leg's coming out nice and long and straight out in front. Feeling the belly drawing in. Take a look towards your thigh and then you're folding in over so that your torso is coming either side of your thigh. Left leg is pressing back towards the back of the mat and then folding in nice and deep, taking a look towards the shin or the top of the foot. Then use your hands to press up, pull the shoulders all the way back, sit nice and tall, come across your body, grab hold of the knee, and then left arm is going to lift up, lengthen up. Biceps touching at the cheek if you can, and eye gaze down towards your hip. Then lifting the eye gaze, taking a look forward, releasing that bind, extending to change legs, slide your foot in. Big toe pressing in, sitting up nice and tall, take a look towards your thigh, and then fold in over your thigh. Feel the energy of the hips moving backwards to keep your knee and hip in that nice open position. Challenging the depth as you move forward, every exhale folding in a little deeper. Eye gaze at shin or top of the foot. Use your hands to release, press up, push up, nice tall body, left hand across, right arm up, eye gaze down at your hip. So really lengthen up from hip, underarm and fingertips. Eye gaze down at the hip so the back of the neck opens. Take a look forward. Releasing, lifting that knee as you come across, cross over at the ankles. Holding thigh on top of hammy, or hammy on top of thigh, calf on shin, pressing nice and tightly so the legs have some energy, and then folding in, finding your limit. Palms flat or fingertips. If you can manage, maybe elbows, and then your brow drops towards your knee. Keeping the legs nice and strong and engaged against each other. Sliding your hands in, lifting up with the chest and the shoulders, sitting tall. Changing the cross of your legs. Hold them on nice and tight. and fold in deep. Fingertips, palms or elbows. Allow the head to relax. Keep the legs energized. Torso leaning forward to try and come over your kneecap. Sliding your hands in, leaning forward to lift, shoulders stacked on top of your sit bones, top legs coming in, foot to the floor. Knee coming across that, the midline of the body, and then right elbow coming across to catch hold of your thigh, and then looking all the way to the back wall. You want that straight leg to be out strong. That bent leg is really strong too, trying to help you lever as you look and rotate through the spine. Take a look forward, release that grip, extend to change legs. Bring that knee up nice and high, foot pressing to the mat, big toe. Pull the knee across your body and then looking all the way to the back wall. Keeping the heart open, nice and strong energy through the straight leg. Take a look forward and release. And extend that leg and then bring it back by your side and then out to the side. So I've got the top of the foot to the floor and then bent leg knees moving out towards the edge of the mat. I'm going to fold in forward, use fingertips, palms or elbows. Again, to look at that shin, feeling the back hip, trying to press back. Relaxing into that forward position. Using your hands to pull up. Straight leg, so that left leg hopefully is your one out in front. Left hand is going to move to your left thigh, right thigh. Then drop the elbow towards the floor. Keep that chest up nice and tall. We're going to reach straight up. So lots happening here. Your straight leg is super active. Left elbow is trying to touch at the mat. Long right arm lifting up, chest up nice and open. On your next breath out, you're going to reach forward. Feeling that chest stay nice and open, doesn't have to touch the toes. And breathe in, pull the body all the way up, sitting tall. Use your hand to bring your knee back towards its pal and then extending out in front to change legs. So knee comes in and then out to the side, pressing the top of the foot to the floor and then folding in to find that forward position. Use your fingers to help guide so that you're not falling forward in a position that you can't manage. If you're able to come deep, lower to palm or to elbow. Using your hands to pull up, shoulders sit on top of the sit bones, right hand to left thigh. Try and drop that elbow to the floor, then lifting up, reaching up. Heart pulling forward, nice long arm reaching towards the roof. Feeling that fold in at the hips to let that elbow come closer to the floor, and on your next breath out, reach forward. Breathing in, lifting up, sitting tall. Bring that knee a little forward and and then slide that right leg in, so big toes pressing to the inner thigh. Try and feel a little balance in the hips, rolling out through the shoulders. Interlace the fingers, press the knuckles forward. Tips of your thumbs come together, eye gaze down at the ankle. Then on your inhale, lift just your arms. So knees and hips staying low, elbows pulling back behind the head and eye gaze down at the ankle. Then inhale to float the eye gaze all the way up. Take a look forward, release your hands. You're turning towards your left thigh, grabbing hold of the right left knee, pulling around, sitting up nice and tall, trying to look over your left shoulder. Come back to center, to the right side. Keeping the hips down nice and low, pulling the shoulders back, opening up with the heart. Coming back to center, lifting up with both knees and then a little swivel so that you can move to the other side. One leg back, one leg out in front. Feeling a little balance in the hips, pulling the shoulders back, interlacing your fingers. Palms press out in front, eye gaze down at the ankle. Reach out in front as far as you can. Drop into the shoulders, press into the floor. Keeping the chin tucking in nice and tight. Inhale to float just your arms. Then inhale to lift, eye gaze. Take a look forward and release that. You're turning towards the right side to take the twist, looking all the way back. Taking a look forward and then all the way to the other side. Then releasing, looking forward, coming back to center, lifting up with the knees, walking feet close to the top of your mat or finding a position that you're able to still see me when you lower the spine to the floor. Floating the hands out over the head, holding onto your elbows, letting the elbows rest on the floor. So if your elbows can't rest, then you might be holding onto your wrists or the tips of your fingers. Tuck everything in nice and tight, knees coming into chest, toes together, heels together, thighs together, knees together. Hold everything in nice and tight. Try and pull your spine to the floor. Then on your next breath out, let the feet come back to the mat and then roll both knees off to the left. Trying to keep your elbows to the mat, a nice long open right side of the body. And I've rolled the feet so that they can come to the side of the foot. And I'm working with some energy to try and press my knee towards the floor. Then on your next inhale, lifting both knees to come back to a flat back and then all the way out to the other side. Keeping your elbows to the floor, shoulders to the floor, and with some energy bringing that knee across the body to low to the floor. Lifting up with your knees, feet are hip distance apart. Little shuffle of the hips if you need to. Try and pull the belly to the floor, and so you can feel the whole spine to the mat. Ground down through the left leg and let your right foot come onto its side and right knee out towards the edge. So it's that half lying down butterfly. So knee is bent, thigh to the floor, knee to the floor, side of the foot on the floor. Left side of the body is anchoring down nice and firmly. And inhale to bring that right knee back up. A little shuffle so you can change, left leg comes out to the side. Feeling that belly pulling to the floor so that you've got that anchor from hip to shoulders. Then lifting up with that knee, both feet into our Supta Baddha Konasana, lying down butterfly, soles of your feet together, knees wide but elbows to the floor. Notice the belly's not lifting, everything's trying to stay low and balanced to the mat. Breathing in, lifting up with the knees, let them come all the way together. Sliding your hands to grab hold of your knee. Try and pull your knee in a little tighter to your chest. Extend out into a straight leg and then reach down, reach down, reach down. And you're extending the left leg straight as best you can. On your next breath, going to lift the chest from the floor and try and pull your chest towards your thigh. Then gently bending, lowering the shoulders to the floor. Let that right foot rest on your thigh, come across your body. No rules, so if the shoulders have lifted, then that's okay. Just really work at pressing the knee long over towards the side. Then rolling back, flat back to hips to the floor, extending your right leg. Left leg coming in nice and tight, holding onto the knee, extending out into a straight leg and then lowering down as low as you can towards the ankle. If the leg starts to shake, just soften the knee a little. On your next breath, lifting up, try and bring your torso a little closer to your thigh, chin and brow a little closer to your shin. Then releasing your shoulders to the floor, bending that leg coming across your body, rolling the knee all the way to the mat. Breathe, coming back to center, both hips to the floor, interlacing your fingers and holding onto that left shin. Rolling the ankle around one way and then the other. Feeling the spine pulling to the floor, shoulders pulling to the floor. Tucking in as nice and tightly as you can. And releasing so that foot comes to the mat, changing legs, extending out through the left, pulling the knee in nice and tightly to your chest. Try and close the distance between torso and thigh. Adding as much strength as you can, but not activating the shoulders. Releasing that foot to the floor. One last little lift for energy. Feet in, heels in, feet at hip distance apart. Hands pressing to the floor, palms down. Triceps engage at the mat as you lift your hips from the floor. Nothing too high. Once you get into that hip floating position, then a little shimmy of the hips from side to side. And releasing, rolling the ribs to the floor, tail to the floor. Extending into straight legs if you have your bolster, if you want something to put underneath your knees. Allow the arms to be long, shoulders relaxed. Eyes are closed, hopefully that will allow you to let go of any concentration that you might have. And if you can, the only concentration you have is towards your breathing. Trying to make it the loudest sound in your ears. Practice on a full inhale, moving to the belly rather than your chest. Starting to move the toes and the ankles. Maybe roll around one way and then the other. Moving the fingers maybe one at a time and reconnecting with each knuckle. Bending the knees so the feet move to the floor. Swaying the knees and feeling the whole spine pressing to the mat, the widest part of the ribs and more of your lower back. And rolling onto your right side. Coming up to seated. Finding that nice tall body in a cross-leg position when you're ready. Hands move together to find the middle of the body. Fingers close together, a little relax with the shoulders, a relax with your brow. Namaste.